This is the DJI Lito X1, and it is the cheapest drone you can currently buy new that supports waypoints, then automated missions, and WaypointMap for automated mapping. This drone is the entry-level system, and you realistically can get it for as cheap as $500 for just the base drone and RC combo. Now, if you want to add some more batteries, that will push you close to $650, upwards of $800 if you are going to go through and get the extra length batteries, pushing your flight time up to close to 50 minutes. For this drone, this is actually really solid. I will say that this is probably on par with the DJI Mini 4 Pro, which you might be able to find for slightly cheaper. It is basically the same sensor as the DJI Mini 4 Pro, DJI Mini 3 Pro, DJI Flip, a lot of those other drones. However, it also does feature 360-degree obstacle avoidance, and it also does have the camera on the top and the bottom. With the DJI Mini 5 Pro, you get, of course, that bigger sensor, but also this does cost more money. This sensor itself also does allow for vertical shooting, or this gimbal assembly does allow for vertical shooting as well as horizontal shooting, but in my experience, the horizontal shooting is usually better. So I wouldn't say that for photogrammetry specifically, you're not really at any much of a disadvantage. However, since this is the cheapest system you could get, you do get that 360-degree obstacle avoidance, you do get front-facing LiDAR on the top here, all for a package that gets you entry level into 3D scanning. Now, by nature, the obstacle avoidance on this is not going to be as good as something like a DJI Mini 5 Pro. Why? Because you realistically only have 2 obstacle avoidance sensors, whereas the Mini 5 Pro has 6. So obviously that does have some strengths, especially when you notice that for obstacle avoidance specifically, there are some situations in which you can technically obscure both the top and the bottom sensors completely. And I have a feeling that if you came at something, an obstacle came at the direction of the camera, you would not have any way for this drone to see it. So by nature, there are some blind spots while they are small. However, for mapping, most of the time you're just flying forward. And this LiDAR on the front even means that you technically could do some mapping in the dark. Now, why, I don't know, but you definitely could utilize these front-facing LiDAR sensors. The batteries themselves are different. They are not the standard DJI Mini batteries. The DJI Mini batteries will not fit in this drone, by the way. You can try all you like. These do not fit. They look like they should fit. They have the same clips, but they definitely do not. They just fundamentally just do not fit. So don't even try it. It will not work. This drone supports the DJI RC-2 as well as the DJI RC-N3, which means you can use either one of those for a WaypointMap. So now let's go over into WaypointMap. We're going to go over, plan a mission, and we're going to go fly it and then see what the final result is in aerial model. So let's hop over there and plan ourselves a mission.
Okay, so now in order to plan our mission, we're going to go over to waypointmap.com. This is a free online tool that I made that allows you to plan out missions. Once you get in here, this is what you're going to see. I'm going to switch over to the advanced version, and I'm going to head over to Thomas Brooks baseball and softball fields. So I'm going to go through and just create a simple POI, which basically means that the drone is going to then focus on the center here. And as you see, it's going to generate some points. I'm also going to change a couple things though. I would like it to, of course, have it so that it takes a picture each time. And then also that's about it. So that way we get a bunch of pictures. We get about 40 some pictures. And then I'm also going to do a smaller POI like this. There is a whole bunch of settings here as well as a full tutorial on exactly how to plan a mission. I would suggest that you take a look at that in the description. For the most part in this video, I'm just going to basically show you the general gist and how to set this up. So I'm going to generate this as well. And now each of these points is going to take a picture and look down like such, which is exactly what we want, and we'll end up with a pretty wonderful mission here. So then I'm just going to download the KMZ, and then we'll load that up onto the drone in a second, and I'll give you a step-by-step tutorial. Also, I want to go to Bond Park Community Center, and for this I'm going to also repeat the same thing. And so both of these will now fly over. We'll have 2 separate missions, and then we can go through, load this onto the drone, and basically fly what we need. Now, this is really great also if you wanted to do some other things, for example. So say you wanted to fly like a rectangle, you could do that as well, and the drone will fly back and forth. You can also have a whole bunch of other options too. So you can have it adjust the altitude if you generate every point. The camera you can adjust as needed. If you were kind of do like an ortho, you could have it 90 degrees. And again, you could generate all those points and it will spit those out and have the drone fly back and forth. So that's kind of the rough idea. Each of these points, it will tell you kind of where it is, what it does, etc. And then you also have a whole bunch of other options. So if we undo this real quick, we can also, if we redo, we can select all the points and make adjustments there as well, so that we can maybe rotate them. We can scale it out a little bit. So if we want to make zoom it a little bit, we could also do that. So we could have a little bit more coverage. You can rotate it. You can adjust a lot of different options here, which is really good. And you can also have it keep the altitude. So that's overall just some of the settings and high level. I will have a full tutorial on how to use the advanced mode linked in the description. You can check that out. And of course, make whatever you need specifically for your application. You can also add points. There's a lot of different options here to really capture exactly what you need. You can also import your KML/KMZ. So if you flew a mission, you can import that. Or if you have a predefined area, you can also import that. I have both the RC-N3 as well as the DJI RC-2. I'm going to show you how to load those missions on each of this controller. So you'll have to be careful to make sure you select the right thing, but I'll walk you step by step for each of your controllers so that you can load it on there going forward. So next up, we need to go through and make ourselves a dummy mission to overwrite. So basically, we are just going to replace a mission with the new one that we generate. So real quick, you can just go into the Fly app, create one, and then make sure you save it. So next up, we need to install it onto the controller. I have built an automatic installer for the DJI RC2, but I'm also going to show you how to manually install it if you need to do that as well. This installer is a paid feature, which directly supports me, but I'm also going to show you how to go through and install it for both the RC-N3, the one without a screen, and the DJI RC2 with the screen, so you can do it even if you don't want to pay. Also, very important, if you do have a Mac, you need to go through and install something called OpenMTP. We are going to be editing and trying to modify the files on both the RC, or if you have the DJI RC-N3, the one without a screen, you are going to need to make sure you have this installed, because this is how you're going to access the files. I will show you the process, what it looks like on Windows, but it is nearly identical. You'll go through the same folders. You'll just have a slightly different user interface. Also, if you do plug in your device, whether or not that's the RC with the screen or an Android device, and you do not see anything, you probably have a bad cable and you need to make sure you have a data transfer cable. So please make sure you have one of those available before you start. So now we are going to go to your DJI RC2 when it's plugged in. Again, if you're on a Mac, you should open it through OpenMTP. You're going to then go to Android, Data, DJI Go V5, Files, Waypoint, and you'll notice that you'll have these things like Capability Map Preview, but then you'll also have these folders of random text. This will directly correspond to the dummy missions that you've made. So if you have made 2 dummy missions, or if you just made 1, you're basically going to click on this. WaypointMap is going to give you what's called a KMZ file that you're going to download. So if I drag that over here real quick, as you can see, it will load up onto the controller. What you want to do is you want to rename this, copy this, and then delete it, and then rename this to match. You're basically just replacing the file that you made, the current Waypoint file, with the one that you have just downloaded from WaypointMap. Once you have done that, you're good to go. If you have an Android device with a DJI RC-N3, that means that you have the controller without a screen and you're plugging it into an Android device. You will follow this exact same process. So you will go through, plug it in, go to these exact same folders. Make sure on your Android device, once you plug it in, that you enable data transfer. Otherwise, the Android device will not show up in your system. So now for the iPhone, you're going to go through and replace the mission in the DJI Fly app. So you're going to go to the Files app and you're going to locate it where it is. It's under the Wayline Missions folder directly in the DJI Fly app. And you're basically just going to do the same process. You are going to rename, so you can copy the name of it, then you are going to delete the file because you're going to then replace it with the one that you've downloaded. You can either make the mission on the WaypointMap website itself and then download it, or you can go through and then transfer it to your phone, then just move it over. So we're going to find the mission that we want. We're going to click move. We're going to find the DJI flap, go to the same spot again, go to the same mission again, and have it moved there. And then lastly, we are going to go through and replace the name of it. So we're going to make sure the name matches the folder name at the top, or also the name that we just copied, and make sure it matches, and then we're good to go. So now we're ready to go through and fly the mission. I've loaded it up to check to make sure everything loaded into the waypoint system, and as you can see, we are ready to fly. So now all I'm going to do is make sure I select the mission and hit go, and now it's going to go through and automatically fly everything that we had set up on WaypointMap. So it's just going to go through, fly the mission, fly over here, take the pictures, and now that all the pictures are captured, we're going to go through and load them up into aerialmodel.com, and then it's going to process each of those pictures from each of the sites that we flew and process those into the model. It will also show us a little bit of a preview so we can know kind of where the pictures are, make sure we're not missing anything. It'll process that, and then we'll take a look back and see what the final models look like, and we'll compare them against some other drones to see how good this drone specifically is. So the two different models have finished processing. That's this one and this one. There is a little bit of tidbits just because of some artifacting with some reflections, but overall these look really solid. I have some other different models from other different drones, like direct comparison with the Mini 4 Pro that we'll go through in a second, and we'll also compare it to each so we can get a pretty solid idea of what we're looking at. Also, instead of flipping side by side and comparing, you can also go through and use this tool that I've built called Aerial Twin. It allows you to make a timeline so you can actually view how sites progress over time. So that way, instead of trying to switch all between these different tabs, you can basically just load them up into a timeline, share them with the client, and then that way they can preview your progress as you fly. You can also attach sensors so that if you wanted to build an effective heat map of where is the hottest locations without using a thermal drone, you can do that. And there is a whole bunch of other sensors you can add. It supports most common sensor protocols, which means you can add in pretty much any type of sensor you want, but allows you to offer your stakeholders continuous and repeating value. That is aerialtwin.com, and you can check it out in the description. So right off the gate, actually this model came out really well. Some things I noticed is usually it does struggle with keeping the lines on the roof here, but it actually did not. If you compare it to what you saw on the Mini 4 Pro, you can see that just by flying pretty much the identical same pattern, you do get a little less of the artifacting there. These artifacts are usually just reflections and they can be finished up in post, but it is kind of hard to determine what's actually there when looking at a reflection, so it just depends on the time of day. Usually it does struggle depending on, again, time of year, etc. But overall, this model, other than this little spot here and maybe a little here, which is where it does usually struggle, it does actually look pretty solid. So the Mini 4 Pro, that's this model, looks pretty solid. I would say the color is a little bit off, but also I believe this was captured in the winter. You can see by the trees. So I would say, again, nothing to indicate this is really any different than the Mini 4 Pro in terms of quality. The camera assembly is pretty much the same. You just don't get to flip the gimbal vertically, which again for photogrammetry is kind of irrelevant. And you do get that full 360-degree obstacle avoidance, so nothing crazy there. I believe this was shot on the Mini 3 Pro, which again, other than this was clearly a much brighter day given the contrast, obviously makes sense why you have a little bit more of those artifacting because of those reflections. Overall, I don't really see anything too crazy out of the ordinary here. This looks pretty normal in my opinion, so I would say probably not really much of a noticeable difference between those three drones. So I would say that if you're looking for something on par with a Mini 4 Pro, this is probably what you're looking at getting. Now, let's compare it real quick to some drones that are not just the same camera sensor so you can have that in context. So this is that baseball field. I have the Mini 5, or sorry, this is the Mini 4 Pro, then this is the Mini 5 Pro, then I have, I believe, this is the Air 3S, and then this is the Mavic 4 Pro. So let's start off real quick. As you can see, some things to notice is, make sure I got the right thing, You definitely have a lot more detail in the roof here. The contrast on the roof sticks out a little bit more. The detail pattern in the roof sticks out a little bit more. These small little details are something that it does usually struggle with since I just do the same pattern flying out from a far distance. But if you wanted some higher quality, you definitely could come in a little closer and patch up some of these little details. So I would say you're picking out a lot more detail per se. As if you look at this, I want to say that the contrast is not as self-evident. You really can't tell the lines there. So just by going back and forth, that's really just quite a noticeable difference. And if we switch over, I believe this is the Mini 4 Pro. That makes sense. This is the Mini 4 Pro. This is the Mini 5 Pro, which you do get a little bit more of that contrast, which is visible, which is what you're looking for. So again, side by side, I want to say that I prefer this one a little bit better, just because of the contrast is slightly more visible. And then lastly, or next, we have the Air 3S, which I would say is more true to life, but you definitely get a lot more detail per se in there. And then lastly, we have the Mavic 4 Pro, which I want to say looks probably the best out of all of them. You get all the detail clearly distinguished, but also looks really solid. Again, this little spot will always have issues and such, but overall, this is usually a pretty stressful test to check this out and see what we get here. And honestly, I would say they all did pretty solid. I would say that the Lito X1 is pretty much on par with what you would expect with the DJI Mini 4 Pro or Mini 3 Pro, but then again, the Mini 3 Pro does not have any automated mapping tools using waypoints, so you would have to pretty much use a Mini 4 Pro as the cheapest option, and now you have the Lito X1, which is your now newest, cheapest option in terms of entering automated mapping with a drone. So overall, from my verdict here, I would say that I would highly recommend this drone over the Mini 4 Pro just because of how much more effective it is. The sensor quality difference between the Mini 4 Pro and the Mini 5 Pro is there. Same for the Air 3S and same for the Mavic 4 Pro. However, if you are just trying to get into this market and try something new, I would say that this is a really good option. You can start here, learn pretty cheaply, starting at $500 up to like $600, $700, depending on what kit you get, and do automated mapping. So I'd highly recommend that. By the way, I will include links to all of these tools in the description: aerial model to make the models, WaypointMap to plan the flight, and aerial twin to monitor the site over time. Thank you very much for watching. Check out the channel for other cool tech-related news, reviews, and videos, and all the other videos that I've done directly reviewing each of the DJI drones that have come out.